Our gospel for this Sunday comes to us from the 16th chapter of the Gospel according to John. Glory to you, O Lord. As we have been going through the Life of Faith initiative and we've had various other interviews, as you can tell, we're having another interview sermon. And this lesson came to mind. And so we share this piece from Jesus, what's known as Jesus' farewell discourse or the upper room discourse in John as he's teaching his disciples. Very truly, I tell you, you will weep and mourn, but the world will rejoice. You will have pain, but your pain will turn into joy. When a woman is in labor, she has pain because her hour has come. But when her child is born, she no longer remembers the anguish because of the joy of having brought a human being into the world. So you have pain now, but I will see you again, and your hearts will rejoice, and no one will take your joy from you. On that day you will ask nothing of me. Very truly, I tell you, if you ask anything of the Father in my name, he will give it to you. Until now you have not asked for anything in my name. Ask and you will receive, so that your joy may be complete. The gospel of our Lord. Please be seated. And so, as we continue our Life of Faith conversations, we interview various members of the congregation about their journey and how life and faith interconnect and all of that. So today I invite up retired chief, important emphasis, retired finally, chief of Golder Ranch Fire Department, Randy Carr. Randy, come on up. Do you want to be facing your wife or not facing your wife?
I should probably face her.
Okay, that's a very brave thing.
Yes.
As someone who handles fires and hazardous materials situations,
yes.
You know what that's like.
Yes, thank you,
Have a seat. Have a seat.
Plus, it's my good side, see.
Ah, that's your good side.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't have one, so, you know.
This is true.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, if you want to know, one of the variants of the great promises of God about how the lion will lay down with the lamb and the child will play with the adder, we have a Packers fan and a Bears fan up here, so, Yes, and see, he's representing, and I've got my butterflies because they're flighty as all heck again this year. So, Randy, would you like to tell people a little bit more about yourself, please?
Well, for those of you that don't know me, my lovely wife, Rhonda, just retired from the academy after 31 wonderful years. Rhonda and I have been members of this wonderful congregation for many years. I think we joined in 1992. So, but I was whatever you want to call it, a prodigy of old Pastor Dan for quite a while, because I first met Pastor Dan in 1976 or 77 at Ascension Lutheran Church. Yeah. He was the associate or the assistant minister, pastor, whatever they called it then. Assistant, yeah. And he got me through catechism. So it was quite a different environment. That's Missouri Synod, not the ELCA that we all know and love today. But I was there for quite a long time, graduated high school, and decided at that point in my life that, as it said in the readings earlier today, God fell out of my life. I was a younger, whatever you want to call it, young man, and looking for love and looking for all sorts of things, a career. And I was going to school at Pima College and class at the U of A, and it just wasn't a priority in my life. I had a minor little accident there that kind of changed my direction in my life. I was in a car accident, and then I realized that, this could be a shorter life if you don't pay attention to what you're doing. So essentially what I did was I was moving forward in the fire department, trying to get a job, and I met my lovely wife, and really the rest is history in that regard. We were looking for a church. Pastor Dan had come from Ascension, started this beautiful congregation with my aunt and my uncle Lynn Lehman was formerly Lynn Reineck, and Ted Reineck, and they helped start this church at a school down the street.
Mm-hmm. Thornydale Elementary, yep.
Thornydale Elementary. So that's kind of how my faith journey started. And
so your so obviously it was family, that kind of was your connection in many ways. Probably your parents were the ones who were saying, "Thou shalt get confirmed,"
yes,
and things
absolutely.
like that. That's how that normally goes. But you talked about, your aunt and things like that here. How else has your family influenced your faith journey?
Well, I think my family has done a tremendous amount. My godfather was Lieutenant Colonel Todd Reineck, so that would have been Lynn's son. And he was very active in my faith journey. He was deployed to Vietnam on multiple tours. He would bring me back souvenirs and really not just things from Vietnam, but things within the Christian faith that he saw there, because he was a very, very faithful and devout Christian. That really kind of resonated with me. And if there's any one thing that really, really drove me, it was that there was that power that we don't know of. It's that mystery of faith. Why is that? What is that? That drove me. And that's really what kind of steered my direction and my faith. So when we joined this church, it was a full commitment, in the sense of we knew that we were having children, and we knew that our life could be rocky, and it was. But we knew that with God's love and God's help and God's support, we would get through it. He's not going to prevent the bad things from happening, but He is going to give you the tools to help you deal with that. And that's exactly what Rhonda and I did.
So, you didn't choose you commented about that accident kind of causing you to go, this life could be a lot shorter if you're not paying attention.
Right.
But then you went into a job where
right.
You professionally run into places where anybody else of sane mind is running out of. How did your faith influence your fire journey, your service in that?
Well, I think that's the interesting part, because in that line of work, you really don't have time to, and this sounds silly, but you don't have time to think. You have to act off of influence and make split decisions very quickly. So really, it's a journey of going off of your gut and what you're trained to do. And I think that God gave me that faith in myself, the confidence in myself. He gave me the confidence in my team that we would do the right thing. And then He gave me the ability to try to rationalize the things that are happening, because some of the things that we saw on a daily basis were things that most of you have never seen and probably won't see. But it was something that it helped me get through some of that, because it's very difficult to deal with some of those situations when you're just asking why did this happen to this family or to this person. So I think that God really helped me, and my faith really helped steer my ability to be resilient, but most importantly, to try to understand what His role was, if that makes sense.
I'm seeing some people shaking their heads, including those in professions who otherwise also have been trained to respond and not necessarily think about it, things like that. You've had some experiences with particular things that kind of brought home the connection of faith, family, and work. You got called in on some particular issues.
I have.
Did you want to talk about that at all, or? Some
of them are hard, to deal with. As a matter of fact, my oldest son Matthew is sitting in the audience here today in the congregation, and he'll remember this because I was a captain on an engine company, and we were called to Cortero and I-10. Everybody know that for a train accident, and it was a 9-year-old boy that was hit by a train, and he had this Fred Flintstone shirt on. And I was the guy that had to go under the train, me and my partner, to try to see if he was alive. And he was deceased. But he had this Fred Flintstone shirt on. And Matthew had a shirt just like it. So after we got back to the station, everybody said, "You don't look so good." And I was like, "No, I'm good. I want to stay at work. I'm good. And the battalion chief, who was a dear friend of mine, came to me and he said, "No, you're not. You're going home. Goodbye. We're taking you home." And he took me home, and I walked into Matthew's room, and I got that shirt out of that drawer, and I threw it in the garbage because that reminded me of that situation. And that was kind of my therapy. But being home with my family really kind of helped me rationalize why I did what I did, because it was hard being in that situation. Why would you put yourself intentionally in that situation? So...
No, many, when we were talking, one of the things that, out of your faith that has applied in so many aspects of life and family and work is our belief and our, look for of the coming of the resurrection, the eternal life. Can you want to say more about that? That really,
and I guess this is hard for some to understand, I think, but for me, I went through, and my whole family went through, the worst tragedy that you could ever imagine. A week ago this last Saturday, it was a year since my youngest son, Aaron, took his own life. And to put it bluntly, there's no hole that can be bigger than that, the loss of a child. That is, no matter how old. Aaron was 30. But there is no way to explain or rationalize how that impacts you. And I think that for me, what was really, really impactful, the things that really helped me get through it, was just my faith and knowing that everlasting life, the promise of everlasting life, that is so important. And, many people don't believe that, but I do. I do, and I know that I will see my son again. But I think that for me, the most important thing is that we know that he had that faith in God. He was very faithful. He was very committed to his faith. And as a matter of fact, in the memorial garden, that phrase that he used, or that we used on the plaque, was one that he had used not only in his confirmation, but in other things as well. But I think that's, in my opinion, that's what allows me to survive, so to speak, if that makes sense. I'll never be the same. Ron and I will never be the same. We'll always have this big old hole. But we can learn to just remember how God's love helped, and your love in the congregation, and the love of our family helped support us and get us through it. Because it wasn't easy, I'll tell you that. It was probably the most horrific thing that I'd ever been through in my life. But I think that, again, going back to God's promise, and that's what I think life of faith is all about. That is what we as God's people are drawn to do, is to help others see that as well. See the ones that need that we can kind of influence, to help them to understand that we've been through that too, and we can help you get to that point of understanding.
Let your light so shine before others, they may see your good works. Yes,
right,
The
absolutely.
baptismal challenge. Last question I have, since you answered all of the other ones, because you're so shy.
I am.
It's always been one of your failings, I've noticed.
I am.
As we enter into the elephant in the room, this gentleman was the co-chair of the call committee. And that brought me here. So if you have any complaints about their choices, they're his. Any mistakes otherwise are mine. That follows. Do you have any, speaking of faith, do you have any words of faith and encouragement to the congregation who is dealing with that task before him?
Quitter. I truly believe that it's incumbent upon us, because we are not here for any other reason other than bring the faith of God into our community and bring God's love and sharing it with others. And Pastor David was a wonderful way to do that. He is what we needed at that time. But I recognize, there's times that you have to do other things as well. And Rhonda always said that you'd be that one that would be moving on to the Senate. You'd be that guy, and she was right.
I'm sorry if I gave that impression. Holy smokes!
But I think that for us in this church, it's our time. It's an exciting time. It's a time that we can look and see what we're all about, knowing that David will still be close by and that he will be here to support us and kind of show us that direction of God's love. But we'll find that right person. Believe me, we will. And I think that that's not only, it's sad to see you go, but it's nice to see just the things that you have brought to us, you're going to bring to other people too, which is scary, which is a little scary. The jokes are a little weird.
That's good, because I'm a little weird too,
Yes,
so at least
you are.
I'm, living up to expectations.
Yeah, we found that about each other, yeah.
Yeah, we did, and that's something that we'll continue to share. But thank you, Randy, for sharing your life of faith story with us. And again, this is something that is going to be ongoing. And if other people are interested and inspired to, come and share their stories, this will continue. Yes, I may not necessarily be the interviewer, but you might actually have, someone that's a little different. But again, it is the time of the church. And blessings on all of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir.